I've spent countless minutes syncing stuff up. I think I did an entire speech one time that was like 5 minutes long, and I loved it so much that I left it all in. And the guys were like, no.
Like, no, that's great, but yeah, let's cut this and this and this.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I actually am Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Hi. We
write for CinemaSins, TV Sins, and do other various things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Hey, thanks for holding down the fort, guys.
Hey, thanks for coming back.
I didn't realize when I left that I was not only handing over the hosting duties to Danae, but actually that she would steal my identity. I had no idea. So I would like that back now, please. I would like access to my bank accounts again. Thank you.
Okay. You're well. Yeah, here you go.
I'm sure you're very open to giving those back after you looked.
Yeah, it was super disappointing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my favorite line on that was Janae saying, I mean, he's super rich. Is he?
No.
What do I not know?
Nothing.
I do appreciate it. I really do. It's nice to be able to, take a break, take a week off, and, know that everything kind of keep trucking along. So
I'm going to follow suit. I'm going to be leaving town soon.
That's true.
Yeah.
Are you going to be gone next week?
I think I'll be here next week, but within the next month, I think I'll be gone 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
You'll have to bring in another token female.
Well, that's weird because I was just about to say, well, Jeremy hasn't joined us yet, but I don't know that Jeremy can be our token female.
He can try.
There's nothing token about you, Danae.
Thanks. Thank you. I think.
We'll try to get Jeremy on when you're gone, or somebody.
It's only fair. I got Chris.
Yeah, we've had Chris and Barrett.
Because Chris said, he was like, the only reason I'm coming on is because Aaron's not going to be there. That guy makes me crazy.
No, and he came on, I mean, I don't even know if we talked about this. He came on like at the last second because we just had to kind of change things up a little bit, and he was very gracious, and you would have thought he had prepared for like a week. So.
I will tell you, if here's a little behind the sins thing that just a free bonus. Man, are the people who work for CinemaSins awesome. Like, It's one of those things where I knew Jeremy pretty well before I worked for CinemaSins, but I didn't know Barrett or Chris or you, Jonathan, really. And getting to know everybody, I've really come to discover like what top-notch humans this crew is made up of, and that's just really encouraging. Like, they go out of their way, they work hard, I don't know, I've been really impressed. So I
agree 100%. Same with you.
It's one of the reasons when there's like CinemaSins hate that I get the like if you don't like the content kind of thing, but if it's actually like a personal attack on the people, I will stand up just because I'm like, look, I know these people and they're some of the most generous, amazing people I've ever met.
Which is like a scene from a movie where when somebody stands up and they keep standing and they keep standing and they keep standing. Because like if Aaron stands up, it's like a 7 foot tall stand up. So it's very, very...
Like, people can't see him on Twitter, but it is interesting that when he does that, though, like people just shut up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like if I do that, I just get more tweets at me. But when Aaron does it, it's like, oh yeah, no, we're good.
I don't know. There was an interesting case. I guess we can talk about this. I actually got called out by name by a CinemaSins hater, a fairly prominent CinemaSins hater on Twitter this week.
Good.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Is that going to happen to me someday?
It's very likely. Very likely.
I'm going to have to work on
here's the thing.
My inner strength.
But here's the thing. I think what I'm learning is you have to discern between people who are just looking for publicity. They want to use, our audience as a way to get more eyeballs on, their negativity or whatever.
Right.
Or anti-CinemaSins stuff. Or 2, they're just looking for a fight.
Anti-cinematics.
They're just, and the anti-sins... Cinematics. I'm not sure we're there yet.
Anti-cinematics. Yeah. That was it.
But
that was a portmanteau.
Well done, Danae.
I'm so good at learning.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Nobody has any idea what you're talking about because we didn't talk about portmanteaus in this episode yet. But once you get to the outtakes, maybe.
Well, anyone who knows what a portmanteau is will know what I'm talking about.
So anyways, or they're looking to pick a fight. And in this case, I think he was just looking to pick a fight. I didn't really see anything in his tweet that was open to any kind of mutual understanding or conversation. And so in those cases, of course, we're not going to respond. Like, what's the point in responding to something like that? But if there is somebody who actually wants to have a conversation about what we do or wants some insight, I have no problem having those conversations.
For sure.
There's somebody I respect and follow on Twitter who just posted something quickly about, CinemaSins has some explaining to do or something like that. And I did. I kind of did a little tweet. What do they call it? A thread. Just kind of explaining how I see the writing process at CinemaSins and those kind of things, just in case he or anyone else actually wanted to have an open conversation about it.
Well, he's totally not listening to this podcast, but and we're not calling him out, but that still irritates. And I think I even commented on your tweet. What you said was great. What he said still irritated me because my wife and I joke around about, this is Facebook related, but when people, what we call vague book.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, oh God, I could just die today or something like that. It's like, what a horrible year this has been. And then that's all they say,
Right.
And it's just stuff like that. Just always what are you referring to when you say that?
Yeah, and it's often just a call for attention sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a call for, I like the feeling I get when people empathize with me. I like the feeling I get when, people say, "Oh, I hope things are okay. I'll be thinking about you. I'll be praying for you." They like that feeling. It's funny in the church world, this is called an unspoken prayer request. And there are those people who every week at church, I've got an unspoken. It's like, okay, that's cool.
Do you know what that means, Jonathan?
You could just tell that to God.
Yeah. Yeah. That means that you don't want to say it out loud and you still want to have people pray for you. But...
Oh, no. Yeah. 13 years of Church of Christ school.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Right.
Well aware.
Well aware.
Yeah. I think there's wisdom in remaining silent sometimes.
Especially on Twitter.
That is what I'm saying. So I didn't say a word. And don't go looking for it. It's not a big deal. It really isn't.
No, it definitely wasn't. Not at all.
And it's one of those things where, for what we do, we're trying to make you laugh. And if you're having a good time, that's all there is. And if you don't like it, that's cool. Don't watch it.
If you don't find us funny, that's fine. Let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah, no worries. None at all.
Or if there's something, more specific. But if you're just being mean, I mean, it's just like what you teach your kids. Just walk away.
I used to have a lot of time and energy for caring about what people think about me, and then I had a kid. Now I have no time.
Yeah.
I have no time at all.
Well, Twitter can be such a fun place, and I've genuinely made friends, and that's probably one of the only reasons I'm still on there.
Right, yeah.
But it is tough sometimes, and especially I kind of get the political angle, I kind of get the political stuff where people are really mad, but I don't really get it with like movies and sports.
Right.
Just the anger.
About entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've said something like, oh, hey, the Cubs won. Awesome. And just got personally attacked.
Well, yeah. As a Cubs fan, I mean, you deserve it.
I'm just saying, or whatever your team is or whatever, but it's just insane to me. I kind of want to go back to not knowing that there were a lot of movie fans out there some days.
Well, it's difficult for me because I am super naive and I'm super optimistic, and I'm one of those people that think that there's an opportunity for unity and redemption in every single relationship. I actually believe that. And so it's one of those weird things where, something will happen like this comment and I'll be like, I can fix this. I can have unity with this person. If I say that, if I bring them into a mutual understanding, and I just have to drop. I just, being as public as we are, it's just the best response often is not a response. And I'm learning that.
And that's something I had to get used to because I had never been in that much of a public forum before where I think about my own personal Twitter account. I don't have anywhere near, the followers that CinemaSins, Music Video Sins, TV Sins has. But at the same time, it's listed. I'm a writer for CinemaSins. And
right.
Mine is 2 now. Yeah. And I have gained 50 people. Since I
nice.
Yeah, I am on
I'm
the
almost
rise.
to 1,000. I'm so close to 1,000. It's
let's just do a quick self-promotion here. Follow us all on Twitter right now. If you're on Twitter, even if you're not on Twitter, go make an account just so you can follow us and then never check it.
And then DM me and say, this is just for you.
This is all about the numbers. That's all it's about.
Stroke.
10 accounts.
We'd all love to. I want to be at, I'm just going to say 50,000 followers. Let's just,
wow.
If just 50,000 people could follow me. Let's see. If I need 50,000 followers, it means I only need about, 50,000 more before I'm there. So we should be good.
I'm good with 1,000.
Okay, let's see. I'm at 654.
Nice.
I'd like to get to 655.
Okay, that works.
I like to make
really
goals.
Funny. I'm at 950 something, I think. But it's really on Letterboxd. I have my Letterboxd account. I've had a bunch of people start following me on there recently. Like I've just had a spike in Letterboxd followers, but I don't really do anything on Letterboxd except log what movie I saw that day.
Social media.
So now I feel pressured. Like, do I need to start writing reviews?
No, you don't. Social media is hilarious because get this, I have 700 and some followers on Pinterest. I've never even downloaded Pinterest. I've never even been. I think I went to Pinterest once because there was a link. Like it's hilarious that the way social media works sometimes. So
it's all robots anyway. Hey, remember whenever you wanted to start the show, Aaron?
We started.
Oh, okay.
We've started. Would you like to get into the heart of the show?
Let's do it.
Okay, but not yet.
Oh,
a big announcement. Can I do a big announcement?
Oh! Let's make noises in the background while you do that, like the appropriate big announcement noise.
I don't know what those are.
Yeah, what?
Boom, 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 boom.
You mean soundtrack?
Boom. Yeah, noises.
It's all you.
It's all. I mean, noise.
Go ahead. You continue on.
Boom, 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 boom. You can't make me laugh.
Starting.
Boom, boom,
In
boom,
September,
boom, boom,
TV Sins is going to 2 videos a week.
Yay.
That's going to be fun. So
I wasn't listening. What's the announcement?
We're doing 2 TV Sins videos a week starting in September. And what we're going to do is we're going to have one of the days of the week be our typical pilots doing different types of pilots. And then on the other day of the week, which I think we're looking at, we're doing Mondays right now. I think we're going to do Mondays and Wednesdays. And I think on Wednesdays, we're going to do a run of a particular show. So it's going to be really fun. It'll give us the opportunity to do both things. So we can do individual pilots as well as spend a lot of time on shows that people love. So
yeah, I mean, that's our initial plan. I mean, subject to change, obviously,
of course.
if we decide we want to do something else on Wednesdays.
Of course.
But right now, that's what we're doing. And we picked a really good show, I think, to start off with. So that'll be exciting.
We did?
Yeah, we're going to be there for people, for sure. That's where you clap.
That's you. I think you're missing a clap.
And
no, there's 4.
I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's 4.
Yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, it's 4.
Okay.
Let's do it together. I'll do 5, you do 4.
This is the high quality content that you come to behind the scenes for.
And we might be. I don't know if we can say this or not. You can cut this out if you want. But we might be doing in TV terms. They would call it a crossover.
Ooh, yes, that's true. Another big announcement.
I'm super confused about that, and I work here. I don't think that's going to be revealing too much information.
Yeah, big crossover event coming in September as well.
See, getting more specific.
Yeah.
I thought talking about like a crossover.
You can't just say the title.
Oh, now you're just giving away the title.
Are you going to bleep it? Are you going to bleep all the clapping too?
No, the hints are fine. Obvious hints are fine.
Okay, I just can't say
yes, exactly.
because you're going to bleep
Thank you for all the editing work.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Sin Side Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, how we felt about the show or movie in general. Let's kick it off with TV Sins from last week. It was Gotham, the Batman show. I believe all of us wrote on this.
The Batman show.
As if there was
Danae,
only
you were
one.
on this one, weren't you?
Yeah, I haven't written on anything for a couple weeks. I'm like, I'm back.
So what did we think of Gotham?
What a show to come back on. You know?
Now, Danae, you were a fan of Gotham, weren't you? Or at least you watched it for a while. What did you think of the show?
I watched the first and I think the second season, and I like the first season was interesting because it was new. You're trying to figure out where something is going. And then I feel like it went off the rails in season 2 for me. Kind of, I don't know, it's really strange plot developments and stuff that you just kind of don't see coming. My husband wanted to watch and when I say stuff that you don't see coming, I mean in a bad way.
Yeah, that can be a good thing sometimes.
It can be a good thing. My husband really wanted to watch season 3, so I caught like glimpses of it, and even he was wondering why he was still watching it. So then we just kind of put it down, which honestly, that was sort of a lot of the commentary that we got in the chats on Discord too, just as when Gotham released, there was comments about the same thing. Like, I was in, but then very quickly got out.
I was out quick. Yeah. I think I watched the first 6 episodes maybe, and then I was done.
Yeah.
I watched the first season.
It's not good.
I made it through the first season, but at the end of it, I remember I was struggling.
Yeah. These are characters that I loved. Batman Returns was my favorite cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was Batman the Animated Series.
That's the one I'm talking about. Was it just called Batman the Animated Series?
Cartoon.
Yeah, Batman Returns was a movie.
Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Batman the Animated Series from like the 90s. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that was my jam. That and Transformers, super loved. Rainbow Bright was great because I loved the rainbow. But
did you guys, speaking of Batman the Animated Series, did you guys see the announcement this weekend that the voice of Batman on that, Kevin Conroy, is actually going to be playing Batman on the CW? They're doing I guess they're doing an Elseworlds crossover with their DC shows.
No, I didn't see that.
And so he's actually going to play because he's got a great voice. And he's going to play the live-action older Batman.
Well, that could be weird, you know. Like you think of like H. John Benjamin playing a live-action Archer, and it doesn't quite work. So, yeah.
My point was that this was my first fall in love with superhero. It wasn't Superman. It wasn't X-Men, although I did love the X-Men animations in the 90s too. But for me, it was Batman. And so for the other movies that I've seen as time has gone on, I really haven't enjoyed something a lot. I did like The Dark Knight a ton when that came out. I was thrilled with that movie. Rarely have I jumped up at the end of a movie and gone, yes! And that was one of them because I was just so excited to see like a new take on Batman.
Yeah.
So for Gotham to be a series on TV, and I was thinking, oh, this is really interesting, kind of more of that gritty, real life feel to it. And it just kept stretching, and just the plot stretches and stuff, it just didn't make any sense to me.
It seemed to me it was so much more interested in winking at us than actually giving us quality content. You know, like it just like as many of the characters as they tried to squeeze in, like in the pilot, there's, you know, a dozen or so references, even to the Joker. You know, there's a stand-up comedian who's like obviously supposed to be a reference to the Joker, and I think she even says something about him being a Joker. Anyways, so it's just, I don't know. It was more interested in like playing to the crowd than it was in actually telling good stories. At least that's how it felt to me.
It felt
Well, and it's also interesting because Fish Mooney, the Jada Pinkett Smith character you're referring to, I don't think I think they created that character for the show.
Right.
Which I think is totally fine to have like a new universe and new characters, and the children are, you know, our favorites are young, and so they're going to grow up into their personality, and that's fun. But I don't think I realized just how much there's a good plot story that's missing from these. It's just like, okay, now we're going to make this guy go over here. And, you know, Barbara's character is a really good example of that. As the series kind of goes on, she just turns into this loony person. And who is Barbara anyway? You know, like it's just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, she eventually becomes Batgirl, Batwoman.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I don't know where the comics go. And so if the show alludes to that stuff, I'm clueless.
I think it's a really good cast.
I do too. I actually really like a lot of this cast.
Yeah, I like Ben McKenzie. I love Donald Logue. Ben McKenzie actually got tagged by somebody. Did you see that on Twitter?
No.
Yeah, somebody retweeted the link we posted for the video and said like "ha ha" and tagged Ben McKenzie.
That's fun.
Yes, but Barbara Gordon becomes Batgirl.
Sean Pertwee is a really interesting character actor. He plays Alfred. Robin Lord Taylor, I think, is great as the Penguin. I don't know after the first season what they did with that character, but he's a really interesting take on it.
Yeah, but see, if the show had just focused on a really cool penguin story, let's say, for the first season, like something really interesting, an interesting detective story for, the season for Jim Gordon to figure out like that. Instead, it's just like, not only is the penguin here, but this character's here and this character's here. And, I bet that's the Catwoman that's going to be growing up.
When he goes to the apartment
for Ivy,
the girl answers and says, "I'm Ivy." I audibly screamed, "Fuck you!"
Yeah, that.
And I remembered that from like when I watched the pilot when it premiered, and I'm pretty sure I was irritated then too. I was just,
for sure,
kidding me, because at that point we've been introduced to future Catwoman.
Yep. Future Batman,
Riddler, who works at the police station, and Penguin, Falcone, and then plus Alfred and Bruce Wayne. I mean, even though this show's supposed to not be about Batman, it's totally about Batman.
Well, and every time everybody says their full names in this entire pilot, it's just like, how many times is the full name Bruce Wayne said in this pilot?
I just realized there's a part of me that whenever you see young Batman and young Catwoman and young Ivy, I want them all to get together like in a Muppet Babies style, where they're sort of like
they have the same daycare.
Yeah. Like put them in the same daycare and see how their relationships develop from an early age.
So at this point, they'd be in what, like middle school maybe, or grade school?
And that's the thing I'm also confused by. I guess like for the fact that I didn't.
You want my so-called Gotham is basically what
my
you
so-called Gotham,
where they're all in school together,
and then like Barbara Gordon, who is much older than them, and she's Batgirl. I guess she'd be like their babysitter or something.
Sure, yeah.
I should redo the next one.
Maybe the English teacher,
something like that.
James Gordon's the principal. He's Belding.
Yes. See, this is good.
Saved by the Bat.
I don't know. I was really disappointed watching it again. Since it's been so long, and thinking about all the potential that I was really hoping for the first time I watched it, knowing that it didn't really develop into anything. And there are some really interesting characters and some good acting, absolutely. But I just kind of found the whole thing, it fell apart even more for me this time. And sometimes you watch something, you're like, oh, I hope I remembered this wrong. And in this case,
No, it was a fun video though. I did enjoy writing for it. I got a chance to throw in an Electoral College slam in there, which made me very happy.
Yeah, you got some heat for that in the comments too.
Did I?
Oh yeah.
Nice. Bring it on. Electoral College is outdated.
This is one of the ones I would say is one of the more fun ones I've written on.
Yeah, I really had a good time too.
I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., maybe it's just the superhero stuff. I don't know, but or maybe they just offer more things that we can poke fun at. I don't know, but those dudes seem to be a little more fun and a little, I guess, easier than like say the serious dramas we've tried. And
one of my other favorite things in this pilot that I put in the Sins video is Donald Logue he's talking about a plot point about somebody having shiny shoes, but the way he says "shiny shoes, mother of God" feels like that's like an exclamation. And I swear I'm going to use that in other videos. Like, just have the narrator be like, "Shiny shoes, mother of God." Yeah, that's good stuff.
Tim Burton inventing Batman, of course, was very funny. Which Danae even referenced that, I think, in the last episode of the podcast.
Thank you. And then I was like, I feel weird for saying that because somebody might think that I was serious, but that's okay.
Yeah, I love emphasizing the narrator's ignorance sometimes, like his love of movies beyond all other things, because we will do sins about, auxiliary material will not matter, the books don't matter, that kind of stuff. And it's just like, well, if the comics don't matter, Tim Burton invented Batman, Although for us, I suppose Adam West probably should have invented Batman.
From a behind-the-scenes perspective, in writing this script with you guys, I really liked the sin about the roof running superhero posing, sprinting.
That was
feet.
Aaron.
Yeah, because I guess that's kind of like a recurring style thing of just the superhero pose, and then there's another one, the quintessential like rooftop gunfight thing, where it hits all those different moments.
Oh,
that was
the string
edited.
of cliches.
Yeah, and that was edited so well together just to sort of show visually that this is exactly, or the chase that starts goes to the kitchen and
Every single cop who comes in to an apartment where somebody's trying to escape, they're going to escape through a window, they're going to go down a fire case, and then it adds in the be in a kitchen so you can grab a knife, and it's just cliche after cliche.
And then we tweeted, we send this, but it was really funny too, because then you get the generic thing later where the wife or whatever is like, well, he would never kill anybody. It's like he was just trying to kill.
Who
Gordon.
wrote that one? Did you write that one, Jonathan?
I think we mentioned it a couple
so.
times. Yeah.
Okay, because that was a good point. I love that part in the writing process too. I'm like, good point. I didn't think about that, but he did just try to kill him. Like, that was a really good one.
And well, then that's usually the case in a lot of these I've noticed, where they just they just seem to overlook the fact that, but he was just shooting at the cop that was chasing him. So.
We all had several on that, I think, because I think that, in fact, my last sin was, and I think, I don't remember, this may have gotten cut, or maybe in there, I can't remember. Anyways, the line is, we killed an innocent man. And then my sin was, who was about to stab you.
Yes.
Like,
I think that's still in there.
Is it in there?
Yeah, that's still in there.
Because that's the whole thing with this character. Everybody's trying to act like they did something wrong. And I'm like, who did anything wrong? That guy had a knife about to plunge into your heart.
The combination of the writing process is interesting, because you'll have all of us or some of us thinking from the same perspective, and then it's just finding the best way to deliver it in a joke form. And that was one of them, where I wrote some long thing about, but over here you said this, and over here you said this, so why are you feeling this way? And then you're just like, but he tried to kill you. I'm like, oh, that's an easier way to say it.
Well, here's a nice little opportunity for a nice behind-the-scenes idea of how we process scripts. Have we talked about the alts, how we do alts and that kind of thing yet on the show?
I don't think we've specifically mentioned
I
alts.
don't think so,
So basically, if everybody writes the same sin, or if two people write a similar sin for the same moment, which happens, by the way, a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossover, because a lot of these things are obvious.
Because we are Borg.
Right. We are one. We are hive mind.
We are hive mind.
So when that happens, what we will do in the combine process, where we take all the scripts and put them together, is we will call those alts. So basically, there will be one of them listed, then it'll say alt, and then the other one's listed. And in some cases where there's 3 writers, there may be 3, like the time where we all wrote BlackBerry, which I thought was hilarious. Although we didn't need an alt for that.
Nope.
But I put one in the script anyway, because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then during the notes process, we will each vote for the one we think encapsulates the sin the best. Or we might do a combine, where we take the first sentence of the first one and the second sentence of the second one. Or we might do an also, if we feel like it's 2 separate points. So it's kind of an interesting way to kind of ponder when we're all seeing the same thing. So that's how that works.
I always try to do a combine on those. If I see him, I'm like, I want everyone's sin to win.
Yes, that is.
Well,
you.
it's really funny. I don't know if this is the same for you or Aaron, but when I first started writing, and like I was working with like Chris or Barrett or whoever, and they would send me and they'd be an alt, I would have a hard time not picking theirs, just because like I'm not going to be that asshole. It's like, I want mine.
Mine's better.
Oh my goodness, I'm exactly the opposite. I'm just like, take mine. It's great.
Yeah, and you kind of have a moment too where sometimes a question will come up on one of your sins, and you sort of have to fight for it's not the right word, but you have to explain it more so that you can really decide, okay, maybe if you wrote it differently, it would make more sense. And that actually happened to me. I can't remember what script it was, but I wrote one, and I think it was on How to Train Your Dragon, and it didn't make the cut because it didn't make a lot of sense. And so I spent like 5 minutes trying to rewrite it, and I didn't know if it made it into the final script. And when it did, I was like, yeah! Like there's nobody in the room. It's just me.
Creative collaboration is fascinating. And it's one of those things where you have to have a huge level of trust. You have to have a huge level of authenticity with the people you work with. You have to be able to say, yeah, I actually think mine's better here. And you have to be able to say, no, yours is way better than mine here. You kind of have to drop those ideas of ego and pride.
But you don't say yours is crap. That's not okay.
No.
Okay? No. I just want... Not that anyone has ever done that.
I remember very early on, especially because I was learning so much about, the narrator's voice and how it works, that I very much, my first, I would say, few months of scripts would ask about certain cuts. Hey, why did this sin get cut? Why, what didn't you like about this? And that was a very educational process for me to go, oh, okay, the narrator doesn't usually speak in this way, or
that's smart.
That's not really a this works, sin because of this reason.
I just took it all personal and cried in my pillow for a month. Since that's a much better way of handling that.
And even like when you're talking about the alts, one thing I thought about, sometimes it's not even, you don't want like 5 or 6 really quick ones.
Right.
But you also don't want 5 or 6 really long ones.
Right.
Like you kind of want a nice mix. So sometimes even on those, I look at it more as both of these are equal, but what comes before and what comes after.
Yeah.
And because like one might be wordier than the other one. So sometimes I'll put that note, like I would go with yours. Mine's a little wordy and we've got, this before it and this after it. So sometimes it has nothing to do with which one's better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing I learned was about the rhythm of the script and the idea that if you've got a cliche sin here, you probably don't want another cliche sin, within a few sins, and you probably don't want more than 2 cliche sins in an entire script.
It's like a rhythm thing.
Yeah, there's a rhythm to it. And so you reword that stuff. If you've got 5 cliche sins, that doesn't mean you get rid of 3 of those sins. You may just rewrite a few of them so that they aren't, such and such cliche kind of thing. So,
and this conversation is so much more interesting than the pilot of Gotham.
I think so. All right, let's move on to the CinemaSins first of the week was Gone in 60 Seconds. This was a Scott Share joint. So Jeremy and Barrett wrote on this. Basically, this was Fast and Furious before Fast and Furious existed with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was a year before Fast and Furious came out.
Yeah, they were pretty, close.
And it's kind of a remake. I've never seen the earlier film called Gone in 60 Seconds. I think it's, from what I understand, I think they just kind of stole the title, or maybe originally it was going to be more of a remake than it ended up being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it was they completely redid an adult film called Gone in 60 Seconds.
Wow, Aaron. That would have been a good joke.
Thanks.
If only you had written.
If only I had written on this one, there would have been a premature ejaculation joke. All right. So, what did you think about Gone in 60 Seconds? Have you guys seen it, Danae?
I have actually, but it's been a very, very long time. And there was one particular joke while watching it that was about giving Angelina Jolie a really profound performance around all the horny men. And when I was younger watching this, I just remember thinking, "Oh, she's so beautiful. I want to be like that." And now I'm like, that is trash.
Not she is trash, but the way her character is treated. Yeah,
or just the sexualized person. I'm not attracted to that person. That persona anymore. Like whenever you're little, you kind of look up to these beautiful women. So that's why, I would hang out with guys and suck their fingers during lunch all the time.
Wow.
Joke. That was a joke. I just realized as soon as I said that, it got really awkward.
No,
Danae does this thing. I got to tell you, I've worked with Danae a long time now, and she has this thing. It doesn't matter where. It could be, on a podcast, could be in mixed company, whatever.
Could be a church.
It could be a church. Could be where she will do something that she knows is kind of like a sexual innuendo or whatever, but she doesn't realize like the impact it has on frying the dude's brains around her. And so I have watched many dudes have their brains fried by Danae just saying the simplest things.
Let's just for a quick second, I need to go into this a little further. First of all, in that situation, I was just being funny, but yes, that was one of those moments in this. There was this one time.
I'm not saying it's intentional.
No, it's totally
always
not
just to be stupid and funny.
No, like one time we were talking about, I don't know, I think it was like The Little Mermaid or something, and I was like, and she flips her hair like this, and I just flipped my hair.
I think it was technically it was like all of a sudden you were in one of those shampoo commercials.
Yeah, it was something I don't remember, but I flipped my hair, and when I like got my head sort of back up where it's at normal height, then I'm looking around at the guys around me. They were all staring at me like with this blank stare, and I realized that somehow in their man brain I was naked in a shower flipping my hair around, and I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll see you later. Just kind of like, didn't mean to do that, sorry about that. Anyway,
but that does happen in the movie. Like she does suck on
I know.
It was a direct reference.
So
yes,
you weren't just like,
thank you.
It was a direct reference.
God, being a woman with curves is hard. Can't have any fun.
I actually rewatched it yesterday because I had not seen it since then, and so I thought I would be able to talk about it a little better if I actually rewatched it. It's pretty bad.
You watched the whole movie?
Yeah, I just watched it yesterday morning.
On purpose?
Well, to talk about it on the podcast.
Man, that's really good. I just watched the videos. Am I supposed to watch the whole movie?
No.
Hey, that's up to you.
No, it's totally up to you.
You do-
no.
you have-
That's
you have-
this was one where I felt like it might help if I refamiliarize myself with it.
Okay, and was it?
No. I could talk about it for a while because it's a very interesting movie in a lot of ways. Much like Gotham, this has a great cast. Was this Bruckheimer in Simpson?
I don't know.
No,
Jerry Bruckheimer? I'm not even going to look.
It was a Watkins share.
No, it was actually Scott Share.
Oh, it was a Scott share.
But these types of action movies were huge in the late 90s. And Nicolas Cage was a big part of them because he had done The Rock, he had done Con Air, he had done Face Off.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a bigger hit. And then I looked it up, and it really wasn't at all. It cost like $90 million, and it made like $100 million.
Wow.
In the States. So it was not a hit. So I guess that's probably why we didn't see a whole lot more of these. But my God, like Robert Duvall is in this freaking movie.
Yeah.
And, Giovanni Ribisi and Angelina Jolie and Nick Cage. But the Angelina Jolie character is so weird.
Yeah, it's
She's the
she
token
does not
hot girl.
need to be there.
She's
Yeah.
the token hot girl.
yeah. It is an unfortunate stereotype.
They don't even use her well in that scenario. And she has no chemistry with Nicolas Cage, which is mentioned in the Sins video.
But can I
There's
ask a question, like a
I don't-
genuine question?
Huh?
Who does Nick Cage have good chemistry with in any other movie?
I mean, he had really good chemistry. I mean, this is kind of a weird one, but he had really good chemistry with Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, Elizabeth Shue?
Oh, I haven't seen
Elizabeth
that one.
Shue. I mean, I think I think he had good chemistry with Sarah Jessica Parker.
I think he has great chemistry with the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Well, and actually, I mean, the lead actress in National Treasure, I mean, I think I don't know, like this just felt weird. And what made it even weirder was there are like two really small scenes with Angelina Jolie and Scott Conn. Like they barely even speak to each other.
Yeah.
And they have a million times more chemistry than her and Nicolas Cage do.
Yeah.
Who spend like 20 minutes in the movie. But she's barely in the movie. Like she's in maybe 15 minutes of the movie. It's crazy.
It is crazy. For me, Gone in 60 Seconds, I felt about it very much the same way I felt about the original Fast and Furious. Is that it just doesn't interest me. I'm not that guy that gets into, fast cars and, I love an action movie as much as the next guy, but not if it doesn't mean anything. And so, for me, if it's going to be just like straight action that doesn't mean anything, it better be so over the top that I am laughing my butt off. For instance, Fast and Furious has become that, right? Like where it's so over the top that it's not meant to be taken seriously at all. Or the latest John Wick is kind of like that. It's so over the top, the action stuff in it that, that you don't have to worry about the story or the message or anything like that. You're just having a good time because they're throwing a bunch of knives at each other. So,
well, and action movies rely a lot more on directing and the way a scene is shot than I think most people realize. And this movie is shot terribly.
Yeah, it's just not fun to watch.
Yeah, it's really hard. You don't even know what's going on in the chase scenes. They're not interesting. I mean, at least all the Fast and Furious movies. Fast and Furious movies are better than this. I mean, I'm not a huge car person either. I'm not a huge Fast and Furious fan, although I've enjoyed some of them. I enjoy them more than the A team of CinemaSins.
Yeah,
sure.
Me too.
Yeah. I actually just watched last night, oddly enough, I watched Too Fast, Too Furious because it was on, and I had never seen that one. And while that would never be like something I would talk about as being like one of my favorite movies, it was a perfectly fine time to spend 90 minutes. It's a perfectly fine movie to spend 90 minutes with.
Yeah.
Whereas Gone in 60 Seconds was not, so I mean, I don't know.
I thought of
nothing
one.
in this movie works.
You thought of one?
I thought of one. Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan in City of Angels.
Okay.
Man, I do not remember that movie. I know I saw it.
It's only because of Sarah McLachlan.
The Alanis
that
Morissette
love
song,
that.
I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally remember like maybe 12 to 15 seconds of the movie in its entirety. But for some reason, I love it because of that song. Yeah, I'm that person.
I really enjoyed this video. I think it's hilarious.
It's great.
Well written. I do have to stand up for pronouncing s'more, because it comes from some more. And as somebody who pronounces Wednesday, like you pronounce things the way that they come from, right?
But then sometimes you just can't pronounce things correctly, and it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, like regularly. Say that one, Aaron.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I also like this video, although I found it to be confusing too, because it was, you know, it's a shorter, condensed version of the whole movie. You don't watch CinemaSins videos to watch the whole movie.
No.
It's not about that. I know. Some of my favorite sins was the list of names. Like that we're okay with his name. Like
Memphis Reigns.
Yeah, but like why not call him Lexington Snow, Augusta Sunshine, Nashville Twangorama? Just these random things.
Twangorama.
Twangorama? Is that what it was?
Yeah, the Nashville Twangorama.
Is that something real?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is now.
And then I think the next line was like, how can I stomach these other names that are from movies, but not this one? And like there was Bonanza Jelly Bean. And I was like, is that a real thing? Is that really from... I don't know what's real anymore.
It was the only one he listed that I wasn't sure. I knew all the others in the movies they were from, but I actually don't remember that one. Jonathan, do you know, is that a real name or a fake one thrown into the real ones?
What was it again?
It was like Bonanza Jelly Bean.
Bonanza Jelly Bean.
I did not know that.
Okay, quick
It very
search.
well, I'm sure it is, but I did not know.
Well,
that.
I don't know, because sometimes we'll throw a fake thing in amongst real ones, and I think it's hilarious. One of the first times I ever did this was in the Baby Driver video, where I was listing all the places the fingerprints would have ended up if they had actually, done this heist or whatever. And one of the ones I listed was the air violin that he plays. Like that's always
that's funny.
Like that's always fun for me to list a stupid thing amongst the real stuff.
It's real. It's from Even Cowgirls Get the Blues.
Wow.
There's a character
that
named
makes sense.
Bonanza Jelly Bean.
I haven't seen that movie since it came out, so
well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's an early Gus Van Sant movie where it's based on a book, I believe, but Uma Thurman plays a woman with I believe she has obscenely large hands.
Interesting.
I want to say it's something like that. But I was looking real quick though. Nick Cage though, just in general, has a ton of weird names
in movies.
Yeah,
or just Nicolas Cage in general, just saying it over and over again gets progressively
Memphis
stranger.
Reigns does stand out as because in Face Off he's Castor Troy, in Con Air he's Cameron Poe, in The Rock he's Stanley Goodspeed, he's Bill Firpo in Trapped in Paradise.
Bill Firpo.
Such a great name.
Yeah, that probably it wouldn't have been a good call, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's also kind of like the Gotham thing where they feel like they have to say his whole name all the time, and it just sounds forced.
I also like that you guys tried to name the what is it? What's the Wilhelm Diner?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great sin. I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, and because I don't watch a ton of movies, and even if I do, I immediately forget them or try to. I wouldn't have realized that there was one diner for all.
Yeah.
So I love that you guys just know that stuff. That sort of blows my mind.
I don't usually pick up on stuff like that either, like locations. I mean, there are some things I know there's those famous caves or rock formations and outside of LA that get used for all the Star Trek fight scenes, planet scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, I definitely would never notice that diner.
Yeah. Even in the comments, somebody said it was also in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So I just think that stuff is fascinating.
Just locations that are used a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I like that they pointed out that morticians and coroners are always eating sandwiches.
Right? I hate that.
That is something that has bugged me my entire life because
it's so gross.
And I'm one of those people that I am very weird about my environment when I'm eating.
Okay, I thought you were going to say I'm one of those people that is very okay with morticians and
No,
body cavities in general.
So this might affect me more than most people because I can't eat at a pool.
Oh.
Just as an example of something weird. There's something about people being wet and I don't know. I'm weird. My wife tells me this every day.
I love eating in the shower.
Do you really?
Yeah, no. If you eat something or drink something in the shower, it has a totally different feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because
great.
you got shampoo on it, Aaron.
No, is that the taste I'm tasting?
See, I don't think I could eat in a bathroom either.
No. Nope. That's
even though you're
me.
in the shower and you're not doing something else, that still happens in that room.
I just realized I should probably plead the fifth on this entire conversation, so we should probably move on.
I did have one joke that I laughed out loud on.
Sure.
That was the characters that kind of kept repeating themselves, and then the joke was, "What are you, yeah, from The Sandlot?"
Uh-huh.
I laughed so hard because I actually understood that reference.
You're definitely the right age for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was my jam. Oh, and I also
my favorite thing though was just because this is something I think of every time I watch this actor perform, but they said can't tell if Kip is on drugs or just an asshole. That is every Giovanni Ribisi performance.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And he's a great actor. Like, I'm by no means knocking his acting. I mean, well, he's a good actor. I don't know if he's great, but he's a good actor. Like, I enjoy him.
I love Sneaky Pete, by the way. I think he's great in that.
Yeah, Sneaky Pete's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing in that. Like, I mean, I don't know what he's, I mean, he could very well be on drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know. The other one that I cracked up on was I'm a bad man. And then the joke was, you said actor wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Rude and like really hurtful, but funny.
All right, let's move on to the music video sin for the week. DJ Khaled featuring, I don't know how to pronounce. Is it SZA?
I
SZA?
think so, yeah.
Just Us is the name of the video, or the name of the music video, I should say. And, well, that happened.
Well, okay, so Chris talked about this on the last podcast, on the episode he guested on, so I guess this is okay to talk about. But, just to reiterate, YouTube sometimes is a little funny about, not YouTube, but the people involved with music sometimes.
Yeah, the claims process.
Claims process on the YouTube videos is really difficult when it comes to using music. And last week, we did the music from behind, and Chris explained that the main reason that came out sooner than we planned on it coming out was because the video that we were going to release that week got claimed, and we couldn't get it out.
Right.
So that happened again. So what I love about this video is, because Barrett did this, obviously I didn't, but what I love about this video is I like to think that like this is kind of like a double whammy of just DJ Khaled is just an absolutely ridiculous person, and he's made so much money off just basically like standing behind a DJ table and saying yeah. And so, but also I like to think that Barrett's getting some of his frustration out on his videos getting blocked.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I think there's a lot of it on that too. It's kind of one of those things you can only do once, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, okay, this is the time. This is when we're going to do this joke. And it's glorious. And
we can get more into that in the comments, but it went over well too.
I specifically love the k at the end. It's hilarious. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what it, but just the way he finishes that is just, I don't know.
It's
it
very
just made me laugh.
enunciated.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, it is just one expletive. That's the entire Sins video in 5,000 Sins.
It's the expletive that ends in k, in case you needed that emphasized.
Well, there are a few.
Oh. Well.
In fact, that is the most common ending for expletives.
Duck.
Duck is another
Muck.
one. They don't all have a U.
Brick.
Right.
Man, are you having to bleep all of these? Because they're real bad.
That's funny if I would bleep them all and just leave the cut on the end of each one. I have no idea what actual words you're saying. Oh, that's as good as done. Yeah, exactly. You nailed them all today. I didn't know you had that blue of a vocabulary. That's amazing. Actually, I did know that.
Yes, you do. Of all people on the earth.
Yeah, I'm well
You've
aware.
worked with me for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. You've heard them all.
Indeed, I have. Is there anything else we want to say about this one?
I don't think so.
No, I don't know that there's
else
anywhere else to go.
It's very funny.
It is funny.
Yeah, I'm glad that it went over so well. That's the one thing I would say is that I really love the comment section and just how everyone had a good time with it.
So there you go. There's that one. And then finally, CinemaSins ended the week last week with Monster House. Jonathan, you did write on this along with Jeremy. So this is a Scott Watkins joint. I just gotta say, I love this movie. I remember really, really enjoying this movie when it came out. Perfect little kid thriller, which is perfect for me because I don't like
with the bloated body on the floor.
Movie. Well, it wasn't really a bloated body.
What was it then?
I mean, it was a concrete tomb kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah. But this is one of the first movies my daughter fell in love with.
Yeah,
is that clear in the movie?
Huh?
Like that it's concrete? Just curious.
I think they even mention it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to just be concrete.
Okay, it looks very much like a bloated body.
And
so I was and then I'm like, wow, this is super dark.
It's definitely like she's under something. Yeah, no, it's concrete.
Okay. All right, carry on. You were saying,
or like I guess you're a grave, or however you want to phrase it. But,
it was. It was like a decoration.
This is one of my movies. Like my daughter and I just. So I've seen it a million times because it was like one of like 3 or 4 movies. And she was a big Coraline fan too, which a lot of people, like, I know, like, it's always funny because Barrett has said, like, on the Sincast a few times that he thinks Coraline is too dark for children to watch. And then I immediately, like, texted him one time when he said that. I was like, yeah, this was totally Mackenzie's favorite movie when she was like 5.
Yeah.
But I think the thing we don't realize as adults, we're getting things out of it that kids aren't.
Oh, sure.
It's more for them. It's visual and, you know, and things of that nature. And it's fun. It's scary, like in a fun way, I guess. Because my daughter doesn't really typically like scary things, but she just fell in love with this movie for some reason. And so we watched it a ton. And I think it's great. I think
it's just a nice little story.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and you understand what's going on and what, the characters. It has a nice little twist to it. The story is interesting. It's hilarious. There's a lot of funny stuff in it. Mm-hmm. One of the comments I'm going to bring up later mentions a joke that we didn't put in the Sins video, and it reminded me of some of the hilarious jokes in this movie. Mm-hmm. And for 2006, it was actually pretty impressive. Some of that CG on the house especially is just really well done.
I agree. I think everything about the creation of the house and the way they use the house, where it's its own thing and it has teeth and it has a tongue and the uvula and all that stuff, is so creative. And but in the noting process on the edit, Barrett and Jeremy were working on it with me. Barrett mentioned that he thought the animation was bad. I don't really think it is.
It's not.
Other than the faces.
It's 2019 bad. But it's not 2006 bad.
I guess for 2019, I guess they could look at it that way. But I don't know. There's something about it. Like I said, the faces, and I did write that sin about the faces being creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the house itself. Like, I love everything they do with the house. But yeah, you're correct. That would look way different today.
Okay, I can't go on anymore. Was the dog okay in the end, or did the dog die?
Oh no, those dogs got eaten.
Really? What a terrible movie. Okay.
Well, and that is one thing about it. I mean, you talk about having to suspend your disbelief. And we mentioned this a few times in the video. There's no one ever in that neighborhood.
No.
So the house ate them all.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, no one ever comes out. It's like, I don't know what I mean, it's just always the kids and there's no adults around. I mean, the one kid, his parents leave for the weekend or for a couple of days.
We should just rename this podcast to Aaron and Jonathan Explain a Movie to Danae. Because I have so many questions about this movie. Maybe I should just go read up on it like I always do.
This, I mean, the way they make it seem like this movie has just killed this house has just killed all these people.
So this lady was mad
and no one's ever been the wiser.
The lady died and angry and became an angry house and wanted to eat everybody? Is that the premise of the movie?
Kind of.
Ish. Yeah. There is another option, Danae.
I don't want to watch it.
Okay. I was going to say you could watch it.
Now there is one of the people does, like, there is is that post credits where he climbs out? I can't remember.
I think that is post credits.
So they kind of leave up the possibility that there are some people, and you never you don't see I don't want to. I guess I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess we're talking about the video. I guess spoilers are kind of there, but
yeah.
But so there is a possibility that some of the people did survive, but they only show one person come out,
and it's not a dog.
Nope.
Dang it.
It's a person. It's not a dog. And it's like the least likable person in the movie.
I do like that Jeremy sings in this Sins video.
Yeah, that's
he
fun.
sings if I want to, or if you want to, I can save you.
Yeah, this is something I need to do better, because I will have moments in writing where I will want to do an outtake that is music because something in the movie is a direct line from a song or whatever. And I've stopped doing those outtakes because of copyright claim issues with songs. Is so much greater.
You could just have Jeremy sing it.
But I could just have Jeremy sing it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the new option.
Oh my God, he's going to hate us so much. We're just going to turn him into like a musical guy.
If you think Jeremy hates those sins, you don't know Jeremy very well.
I also laughed out loud on this one. There was a series of sins, and the sin was, well, he's not wrong. But it was like this nice pause before delivery.
That was great.
That one cracked me up.
The one where he's like making the armpit gesture and me like...
And then there's like this...
About authority.
Yeah.
He's like, authority's all...
Yeah.
Well, he's not wrong.
Chowder.
It's so good.
Chowder.
I also like the chicken giblets one, or was it chicken livers, whatever it was. Like, they're clearly roses like old dried up roses, but they definitely look like little bits of chicken. And so it's like he's kind of scanning around in the dark with a flashlight, and it's like, okay, there's map, there's chicken giblet, there's another piece of chicken.
Gizzards.
Little gizzard.
And I wrote the one on the. Oh, I'm sorry, Danae.
Go ahead. No.
I was going to say, I wrote the one where he says get off my lawn, and it's Jeremy from CinemaSins, Chris from CinemaSins, Barrett from CinemaSins. I really didn't know if he would keep that, but I was so happy he did.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's funny.
And then the one I wrote about, which we already talked about Coraline, but the one I wrote where it was for anyone who thinks Coraline is a fucked up movie for kids, let me introduce you to Monster House. That was actually kind of, since I've already talked about my daughter, that was actually kind of a sin for her in my own subtle way.
Right.
Because this is a video I actually let her watch.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Did we make it through all of them?
I think we're through them. So we're going to move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Ha ha! Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is that the...
I don't know.
Okay. We should... we're going to do keeping tabs now. We're going to pick some things that we searched for these videos that maybe we think is hilarious or wonderful or embarrassing. Also, this would be a place for any possible... cuts that you wanted to bring up, sins that got cut from videos that you wanted to mention can come in here as well. I will say right off the bat, I only wrote on Gotham here, and there wasn't a ton of stuff from me. So, Jonathan, you might have to carry the day here because
I have 5 on Gotham.
Oh, really? 5? Great.
Good.
That's
yeah.
excellent.
I put one small one on Gotham, but I kind of left that one alone since I knew you guys.
All right. Well, I'm going to do mine, and then you two can go back and forth.
Yeah,
Does
we'll
that
just talk for an
sense?
hour.
So the only thing that was somewhat embarrassing that I searched, there's a moment in Gotham where there are these scantily clad women just stretching behind for like 10 minutes. They're stretching
45 years.
So I Googled, how long do strippers have to stretch?
Oh, no. It's just like an athlete, man.
It is. That's basically the answer I got.
You should have just texted
they are
me.
athletes.
I just realized how bad of an idea that would be.
For me to text you, hey, Janae, how long do you think strippers stretch before they go out and strip?
You're a girl.
You've got the aerial hair flip down.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
You know how to suck
awkward.
a finger.
Yeah, you're really overly sexual in the wrong and inappropriate moments.
Yeah, I'll do that next time today.
my God.
That's even better than keeping tabs.
Oh, shoot. And then I'll be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yes, exactly.
Why would I know? I've never been a stripper.
Anyhow, the answer is they're basically athletes, and they pole dancing takes a lot of stretching, so they have to stretch for a while.
And
so maybe it shouldn't have been a
stamina.
sin, but
Yeah.
it was a long time.
Skill and talent.
Yes. Stick up
It
for the
was
strippers.
weird though. It's not something I probably would have noticed without you writing that sin, but it's like I assisted with the edit on that one, and so like I was watching that a few times, and it's just they keep making all these different movements behind them, and like
it's
they're
so
adjusting
obvious.
their stuff, and
Yeah.
It's so obviously titillation. That is that is what the show is doing for those 8 minutes. It has nothing to do with the accurate representation of dancers needing to stretch.
My favorite part of that sin making it into the final cut is that we decided to keep the arrow pointing to them as if it was needed. The entire joke is like, these people have been on stage stretching for 5 minutes, but why? Why not do anything else? Why not just take a break? You're in high heels. They suck. Like, but why do you need an arrow to point to it? And that was
I thought that was hilarious.
So the fact that you kept it in just cracked me up. I was like, is this arrow really needed here?
No, these scantily clad women.
As opposed to the invisible ones in the lower left of your screen.
It's like that false humility where it's like, oh, I would have never seen them if it weren't for the arrow.
You wrote that
I know.
in the comments. Today I would have never even noticed.
oh wait, you did do the edit on this one. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I can't even remember half the time who.
No, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. One of mine on Gotham was, what are the water tanks on the rooftops for?
Oh.
Because they are everywhere in the opening scene of this as she's running across the rooftops.
Yeah.
And I kind of wondered if it's like, this is a cliche thing, so we're just going to CGI them all over the place just to give interest to the...
It's a big city thing, right?
It is, and I didn't know that. So I learned that in the big cities, obviously water supply is kind of important, and so they have, like, you have to have rooftop water access that sort of helps with the whole pipes and plumbing and everything.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know. So that's why they're there.
Smaller towns have just big water towers.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't necessarily do that in a metropolis.
Right.
So
yeah. They're actually important. It wasn't just a little like, we'll just do this.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was one of mine.
Or if you ever need to drown a superhero whose weakness is water. That's what else they're good for. Just as a random example that probably doesn't apply to anything.
But I know you and it does, and I don't know the reference, and it's going to bother me. So I'm going to ask you about that later.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. What about you?
For Monster House, I wrote a sin where one of the characters, the female character Jenny, asks, why would he build her a shrine if he murdered her? The sin I ended up writing was, well, Jenny, I can give you at least 200 Lifetime movie channel titles to check out to help you understand better. But what I did, I was at one point, I was actually thinking about just working in movie titles. So I looked up Lifetime movie titles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they're amazing. So I ended up, so the ones I found that I thought were fun were Cyber Seduction.
Nice.
Co-ed Call Girl.
Of course.
12 Men of Christmas, which is actually just like supposed to be a lighthearted Christmas romp, but what a weird title for that.
The 12 Men of
Liz
Christmas.
and Dick, that's a good one, about Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. This one only sounds weird because they chose to leave the author's name in it, but it's Danielle Steele's daddy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
They had just gone with daddy, it would have been fine. But
maybe.
Yeah, Psycho Granny, 15 and Pregnant. Inspector Mom.
Wait, hold on. Was that one title, Psycho Granny 15 and Pregnant?
No, sorry. Yes,
okay.
Psycho Granny is one title.
That makes more sense.
That makes a lot more sense.
I'm glad we went back and clarified that one.
One I thought was hilarious that I think I have to watch immediately was called To Be Fat Like Me, and it's Kaylee Cuoco in a fat suit.
Oh, that sounds very insensitive.
It does, doesn't it? And then there was one, this is a full title, Baby Monitor, Sound of Fear.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then my favorite was obviously My Stepson, My Lover.
Oh, Lanta.
Yeah.
Thanch you, Lifetime.
Thanks, Lifetime.
Stuff, so,
jeez.
What else you got, Danae?
I also forgot them. I looked up famous screams, which is where I found the CSI scream. I was like, oh, yeah.
That's so perfect.
That was amazing.
That one turned out so much better than I imagined it for an outtake.
Perfect. By the way, just so you know, when I edited that, originally they had put it in there and like you could tell that he stopped screaming before the scream stopped. And I just stretched the video just enough that it synced up perfectly with the length of his scream.
Oh, beautiful. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's one where you write it in an outtake and then you see it happening. And it is just, it's perfection that you did that, like, you inspired.
Yeah.
And so you feel like
perfect.
extra special about yourself for about 10 minutes.
I've spent countless minutes syncing stuff up.
Yeah.
I think I did an entire speech one time that was like 5 minutes long, and I loved it so much that I left it all in. And the guys were like, no.
Like, no, that's great, but yeah, let's cut this and this and this.
I've thought about starting like a separate Twitter account.
Yeah.
That would just be like
just the outtakes.
Just
maybe?
the outtakes.
Oh, I
and
love that.
Because that kind of stuff can go viral, I think, in a lot of ways. So, and then you just like, cut those into like little clips and tweet them. What else you got, Jonathan?
The only other like actual, I had some cut sins, but the only other open tab I had was Gotham, just because like, and I don't know why I didn't think about this, but they said something about Chinatown, and then so I looked up, does Gotham have a Chinatown? But what was interesting was there are just so many pages upon pages of people that have like detailed like Gotham.
Oh yeah, like mapped
Which
it out.
I guess I shouldn't really be surprised by that, but
like Middle Earth style, like Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
like with all the maps.
Guess people have just taken like the comics and the movies and the shows and everything and just kind of come up with like their own. It's people do that with Springfield too in The Simpsons, which it looks like this like insane town, like if it was really the way they have everything in the show.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing here, but yeah, Gotham has a Chinatown.
Of course they do.
Of course. I also looked up about Gotham, and like because you can see very familiar skylines in the background, and it's basically an alternate New York.
Right.
So I gave it a lot of grace for that. I looked up how does yellow lighting affect your mood? Because my joke was that there's a monopoly on the yellow lighting in Gotham.
It's true. Every light is yellow.
Yeah, it's insane. So every time there's a view of the skyline, it's all yellow lighting. And I was like, you know what? I think this might be why people turn into evil people. It's because they're affected by yellow lighting. Because lighting does affect your mood.
Sure.
So then I went on this research about that. I also went on another similar research, like kind of like the more metaphysical research, with the look into the two middle fingers being the same length, which was also my joke.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just happened to pause it right whenever they were handshaking, and I thought, oh my gosh, his middle finger and ring finger are the exact same length. So then I got into this research about what does that mean? And of course, you know, there's palm reading and there's like the whole frou-frou stuff about, you know, what XYZ means. And so it's supposed to mean like this whole masculine, a lot of testosterone when you're in the womb. And
which makes sense for Bruce Wayne.
Right. And then then I tried to figure out how to write that into a joke. And so then I ended up making fun of the narrator by writing that one.
Mine are not even close.
To the same length?
To the same length. My pointer finger and ring finger are about the same length.
What were the two fingers again?
The middle finger and the ring finger.
Mine are the same length.
Whoa, you're so masculine.
Oh, you know what? Close. The middle finger might be a little longer. Never mind. Well...
But they're close. You were almost cool. Almost.
Mine makes complete sense because I am not a masculine dude.
Are you out of tabs, Jonathan, or did you want to mention something else?
Well, the only other thing, I had one sin that got cut that I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, now's the time, man. Get it out there.
So I love like how in movies, like I love kids' imaginations in general. Like I just love how kids give like things that don't have life, you know, like they'll say hi to like, you know, desks and walls and stuff like that. And there's this little girl at the beginning of Monster House, and she's driving her tricycle, and she's saying hello to everything. She's like, hello tree, hello yard. And then she says like, hello leaves. And then she starts doing this like manic laughter, and she's driving through all the leaves and they're scattering everywhere. So I wrote, I love the imagination of a young child. I love that they give humanistic qualities to everything they see. But with this in mind, that means she is currently brutally murdering all of these leaves and is perfectly fine with it.
That's nice.
Because that's all I could like think of. Like, it's like if she like, you know, if she's being this nice to them, now she's just killing them.
Hello, leaves. Let me destroy you.
We talked about this next one that I had on my tabs in a previous episode for how long somebody could hang upside down.
Oh, yeah.
It came from Gotham because our heroes were hanging upside down, and that's whenever I learned that, you know, it also like your heart can't pump blood, but then also depending on how long like you hang there, like sometimes your innards can compress against your lungs and you can actually suffocate.
Yes.
It's terrible.
And they had probably been there for a minute because they were knocked out.
Yeah, what was the answer? What like
you can hang upside down for quite a long time.
Oh,
like,
is there a number? Is there a number where you're for sure be dead though?
No, I wasn't able to, and also I got so disturbed by the insides compressing the lungs, I decided to stop looking. And she's like, you know what? I have my answer. He would still be alive. Moving on.
It probably depends on the person too. I mean, like a smaller person might. I don't know what the difference would be, but I would think a smaller person and a larger person, it would be a little different.
I don't know.
I'd be dead within 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that maybe the smaller person would die quicker. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what the sign. I don't know what it would actually be. I'm just guessing.
Inner fortitude.
Physically, it would have to be a little different.
Inner fortitude probably plays a part in that. Yeah. And having had a child, my insides are all stretched out, so I would for sure die quick.
Well, and it's also like, when was the last time you ate? When was the last time you had? We're thinking way too much about this, but like.
But this is what you do on keeping tabs.
Yeah, this is what we do.
The last one that I had was: is a swinging light a real interrogation technique? Because you see that in movies where it has like the light that kind of swings.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, is this actually a valid interrogation technique?
All right, I want to know what you found, but my instinct was always that they use the light to make the person uncomfortable. So they'd like shine it in their eyes, and then after they're done shining it, they let it go, and that's why it's swinging.
Right. Yeah, and I thought it was kind of like a hypnotic type feel. Like it's just the sway of it sort of like makes you just kind of feel
like a booty twerk.
Very similar. if the butt had a light on it too.
That's what I'm saying. It's the modern pocket watch. Callback.
Do you think that most places even have a light that can do that? I mean, because you would think most police stations, it's gonna be, fluorescent bulbs.
Well, I don't know about police stations, but I will tell you, I've bumped my head on enough restaurant lighting to know that
they are
definitely there.
Oh yeah, no, they exist. I'm just saying, like a I don't know. And then it feels like most of the interrogation scenes you see, like where they've been taped and those like true crime shows and stuff. You never see anything like that.
No,
doesn't mean anything though.
I think movies and TV shows make up a lot of that stuff. I get the feeling that it's all for
movies
ambiance.
Aren't true?
No, I think they make it up.
I think it's not real. I did not find anything incredibly specific about it, mostly because I started learning about like actual
interrogation
techniques. Yeah,
I'm sure it has much more again to do with shining a light on them, making them uncomfortable, making so you can see them but they can't see you as well, that kind of thing. So you're reading them but they can't read you,
exactly,
all that kind of stuff.
It was a super dumb montage.
I didn't like it. We all kind of sinned that in our own ways.
Yeah,
it was really.
That was definitely one where we had lots of vaults.
It was supposed to be
felt
fun.
like it was from a different show.
And I apologize. I do have one more.
Go for it. No, that's great.
No, do it.
This is a cut sin that I will try to find a way to get into another script someday.
Great.
This is one that cannot die. There's this moment whenever Gordon returns back to the apartment and Barbara is clearly like just got all dolled up and she's wearing a dress and makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Babe, I don't want to go." And she's like, "Okay," and I'm like, don't let that person get all dressed up. So here's the sin that I wrote. Jim knew he didn't want to go to this party long before he tells Barbara. He let her get all dressed up and then he cancels. And I said, "Don't be a dick, Jim. Barbara wants to stay in her PJs and scratch the underside of her tits just as much as you do." And I want this joke to live. So I'm going to try to find a way to get the PJs and scratching the underside of the tits in somewhere.
That was an alt, though, right? That's why that one didn't make it. Like the other one just got chosen.
No, it's because someone doesn't like me. No, yeah, I think it was an alt. There was another one that was like about a fireplace being on from the props department.
Yeah.
Whatever, props department. I'm not bitter.
No, not at all. I can tell.
That was your joke, wasn't it, Aaron?
I'm not saying. I have no idea. Don't even know what you're talking about.
No, it's fun, though. I think this one, for me, is fun because it's a female perspective.
Yes, exactly.
Like, none of the guys would write something like that.
Although we scratch the underside, too.
I know. I watch you do it all the time, and you can do it, but if I do it, it's sexual. So let us all be human here. We have itches.
That's right. Let us scratch our itches.
That's right.
All right, ready to move on to the comment section?
Let's do it.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
Let's each pick a comment or few to respond to in this week's videos. Also, general feedback included here as well. And we do have a question that came from Twitter that we will get to. But first, let's take a look at the comments. Jonathan, why don't you kick us off? What's a comment that you saw that you liked?
Well, and I guess we kind of already talked about that, so maybe I want. The one thing I was really curious about was the music video sins one. So I immediately, like when that got released, I immediately went to the comments, and overall, like that one was really positive. One person put, "I wish I could like this more than once." One person would put, "When will this be on the trending page?" Like they thought it should have been trending on YouTube.
35-second video.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. But also the one I did pull for Monster House was that Mega Soul Hero said. He said this movie is honestly better than most modern horror films. That's what he said. And then there were some other, he or she, and then there were some other people that made some comments about that scaring them as a child.
Yeah.
And I wasn't young when this came out. I mean, this was just 13 years ago. So I thought that was really interesting because one person even mentioned it and Chicken Run gave them nightmares.
Chicken Run?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Random ACC said, "I blame this movie and Chicken Run for the numerous nightmares I had growing up."
You know what?
Yeah, I was trying to remember. The reason I found that interesting because I was trying to remember like what in Chicken Run was
me too.
scary.
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's the meat pies. It's the factory where they're going to get ground up into the meat pies.
That is terrifying.
She is terrifying. Like the owner of the farm is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I mean, I guess thinking about getting chewed up in a machine and baked into a pie, I think that is fairly frightening.
Well, it's it's got the correlations with like Nazi camps because it's basically the Great Escape.
Yeah, it is the Great Escape.
Yeah, I mean, it is a great escape. Yeah, and so I was like, surely that wasn't scaring children. You know, like they weren't
aware of that. Yeah.
Aaron, what'd you find?
That makes sense.
Well, that's funny that you chose one from Mega Soul Hero because I have one from Mega Soul Hero on a different video. So
interesting.
Way to go, Mega Soul Hero. You truly are the hero of the Mega Souls. So this one is from the Gone in 60 Seconds video, and they said, this didn't take 60 seconds. This took over 15 minutes. Clickbait, unsubscribed.
There were so many comments like that. Why wasn't this video 60 seconds?
I thought the clickbait unsubscribed was really hilarious. So
funny.
I thought I'd throw that one in there.
The one that I picked was from Monster House.
Okay.
From Bill M. Wooderson.
I have this one too.
I find this. Is it about the sirens?
Yes.
Okay. I thought this was super fascinating.
Me too.
Okay. And thank you, Bill, for writing because we get to learn about real life stuff.
I love this.
There was a sin about sirens.
Right. No siren, never a good sign.
Right. So he says, no siren, never a good sign. As an EMT, I can say that no siren is more often a good sign than not. Usually running without lights and sirens mean that the patient is not in critical and that, quote unquote, running hot would not significantly impact the patient's outcome. On the flip side, even if someone has coded, we will use lights and sirens in the chance that a resuscitation would still be possible.
Yeah, I found that fascinating.
I did too.
Because I assumed once somebody died that they would run without sirens, but they're saying it's exactly the opposite. That the only time they would run without lights and sirens is if somebody's fine.
Yeah.
So,
like a scraped knee.
Yeah, I had that one as well. I just didn't copy the name over. I had that one as well. I thought that was interesting.
Did you go in an ambulance for a scraped knee today?
I've never been in an ambulance, unlike someone else I know.
I don't remember it.
You do not remember it.
I'm sure you don't.
Or the following 3 weeks of my life. So
you were kind of a jerk there for a minute.
What people were talking about that on my vacation. The people I vacation with, they were like,
it was amazing.
You were kind of mean there for a while.
It was so interesting to see that side of you. The real you.
Is it the real me?
No.
I'm just a meanie?
No.
Maybe. Who knows?
Oh, so you're talking about after you were resuscitated, after you were like alert. You don't remember some of that?
No, I don't remember anything from those 3 weeks. Yeah, even after I was alert and apparently doing well.
And you came home. You do remember a little bit of that, but that was still pretty foggy.
Yeah, it's pretty foggy for about 3 weeks. I barely remember. I went and did a work event like a month after I was down, and I barely remember that. And I was working like 12-hour days.
Can I tell you what you were mad about?
What was I mad about?
That this had inconvenienced your life.
Of course.
You kept going back to, I don't know why they put a tube down my throat. I was fine.
That's hilarious.
They jacked
It is
up my
funny
throat,
though, like when you're
I was
sick
fine.
and stuff, how you get irritated that you can't go do anything, even though if you were well, you'd be perfectly fine, like laying on the couch.
And now I'm in pain because I had the surgery, so I can't sleep well, and I was fine. Like,
why is everybody all worked up? I was fine.
Yeah. It was amazing.
I've heard that the drugs will do that too, and so I think I was irritable because of the high dosage of drugs in my system.
Your wife and I were texting several times, like, it'll be fine. Let's just let the drugs go through a system.
And apparently, it takes like 6 months for some of those heavy drugs to get out. So, in fact, maybe it takes 6 years, and I just have a license
to be a jerk.
To be a jerk anytime I want
on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I can't believe I missed you being a jerk.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was actually really proud of you.
I asked this when I met his wife at Sin Week. I asked her if he ever got mad. She's like, no.
Yeah, I think we all just were like, this is not normal.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a fear that you had
It changed for good.
You had brain damage, and this was how it was expressing itself.
She said, like, you never even really get mad at your kids, or like at least you never, express that anger at them. And I'm like, you have 4 children, and you've never yelled at a kid.
No, I've yelled at kids. Oh, I've for certain yelled at my children. It does not happen often. Well, that's good. I'm trying to protect the relationship at all costs, and sometimes I probably fall way too far in the leniency camp. But that's because I'm just so, like I said, I'm naive, and it's all about unity and redemption, and I'm much more apt to try to find common ground than I am to get upset.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a lot more lenient than I probably should be, but also my daughter is a perfect angel.
Well, there's that. There's that as well.
We can't all have those.
Yeah, I never had any of those.
I had one from Everything Wrong with Gone in 60 Seconds. I guess I should just say Gone in 60 Seconds. I copied the title of the thing.
You're fine. You're
Sorry
good.
about that. This one's from Michael Marburger. He says, all these a-holes are wide awake for like 4 days straight. And it's true, right?
Yeah.
In the movie, they don't ever sleep.
I always thought that about the TV show 24. I'm like, when does Jack Bauer sleep?
Yeah, good
Or when does he
question.
go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
But the timing in Gone in 60 Seconds is insane too. And then, I don't know who Barrett or Jeremy wrote the sin, but that sin towards the end where it's like, well, if it just came down to where they were going to do it all in 12 hours, what did all the other, when they showed us like how much time they had left, what did that matter?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like when it said they had 48 hours left, well, who cares? They're going to do all this in 12 hours.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So just go to that.
Any other ones?
Yeah, I got one from Exemplar Kyle, and this is from the Monster House video, and this is an example of the humor in this movie that I love. Exemplar Kyle says, seriously, no sin off for this banger of an adult joke in a kid's movie? And then he quotes the joke. What is that? I think that's the uvula. Oh, so it's a girl house in the movie. You get it, Danae?
Well, we can't do them all.
Uvula, you might think like, uterus or... female parts. You get it?
You can't think of one that's more on the nose, like fallopian tube. Sorry, I cracked myself up there. I have another one from Gotham, but it's super, super long, and I just realized you probably don't want to listen to me read it, but I did see one from Gabriel, who kind of goes into this whole explanation about like the major differences between Gotham and the comics and how atrocious it is of what they've done. And then the next comment below is from Matt that says, this is the greatest on-screen portal of Bruce Wayne, Jim Gordon, and Joker, and Penguin, and Riddle, and all the other characters. Gotham was the best show ever, and I hate Fox for canceling it. Like, we're all
but that's the
dogging
thing
on
about
it.
adaptations, though. Like even if you don't do the exact way it happened in the book or in the comic or whatever it is, you can still capture like the essence of the character.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah, totally.
and I think that gets lost sometimes because I think a lot of people want, either they want to see their favorite scene or they want this to happen or that to happen. But adapting anything is tough.
If our comment sections are proof of anything, it's that people feel differently about everything.
That's always the case.
There are fans and haters of every single thing out there, and they will argue because that's what we do.
We did have a couple of questions directly from you guys.
Do it.
Somebody on Twitter asked why we don't talk about the Sincast as part of Behind the Sins, and I guess
we don't listen to it.
That's one.
Answer number one is why would we ever listen to that trash?
I
mean, we're kidding.
That's not true. In fact, I listen every Monday when I work out. I listen. I think the actual answer is it's a lot of content. Like that would be that would have to be a Sincast response podcast would have to be its own podcast, and it's a little meta even for us. To do that.
And guys, this is super inside information. We actually are trying to make this podcast only 1 hour long. Now we are failing at that goal.
I think we shoot for 90. I think we got to give ourselves 90
at this point. We need it.
I think we got to give ourselves 90.
Yeah, it is a lot of content. Although they do say some great stuff, and sometimes it does show up. In fact, we did talk about the cloaca, although I heard it pronounced a different way on another podcast.
Oh, really? How'd you hear it pronounced? This is very important. This is, as far as Sin's universe, importance, this is at the foundation.
I thought it was cloaca.
Cloaca?
But I don't know, man.
Like with an I?
I immediately forgot about it because I'm like, well, they said it wrong.
Cloaca?
Cloaca, maybe? I don't freaking know. Let's see if I can find it.
Well, it's cloaca as far as we're concerned.
We don't do any research on this podcast, so why am I doing this?
Now, why are you doing research?
Cloaca, we got it right.
See,
that's all
cloaca.
that matters. It was on another podcast.
The other podcast got it
called
wrong.
Voyage to the Stars. That's why. That's why we don't do that one.
Is that the actual answer?
Mm-hmm. That's why we don't talk about Sincast, because we just don't. That's the answer.
Well, it's just a podcast about another podcast. I guess those probably exist, but
sure they do. The other question we got was also from Twitter. This is from Shoshana, who says, "What do you think has been the biggest challenge of being in the CinemaSins universe?" This was a direct message to me, but I thought it was a good question for all of us.
Yeah.
My answer was self-doubt. That has been...
In what way?
Well,
no, I mean, yes, I do kind of know, but explain a little further. Like, so what do you mean when you say self-doubt?
Like, just, you watch something and you write something, and while you're writing, you're like, this is horrible. This isn't going to help the team at all. This is probably more of a nightmare then you turn it in and it's like, great job. And then, your stuff gets used and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe I didn't suck horribly at that. I'll try worse next time. So for me, it's been self-doubt. It's been a lot of just really questioning whether or not I'm good at this at all or I'm making an impact. Because I don't like doing things where I don't make an impact. I don't want to just do something to do something.
Right.
I like when I know that that it's helpful in some way.
Right.
Or in a major way.
And that can be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that can even just be brightening someone's day, right? Like making someone smile. That's what I always think when I'm writing or finding purpose. I just think of how many people I'm going to make laugh, or make smile. And that just, man, there are a few things more powerful than humor.
Or instantly angering someone with your joke. That's
if
different.
that's what you're looking forward to, if that's your purpose,
no.
We may have a deeper discussion to have.
No. But I thought that was a good question, so I thought I'd ask you guys the same thing. Like, what's been one of the biggest challenges about working in the CinemaSins universe, or the Sinsverse, as I call it?
What do you think, Jonathan?
I think initially just finding that voice, it's crazy to think how many of us write on these, and they all kind of not sound the same. Well, yeah, they do kind of. We all have to write for that same character. So I think just finding a style where I was writing for the narrator, not just writing things like I would say them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That was pretty tough. I'm not, and actually, if you listen to the Sincast that comes out this week that Aaron and I were on, I talk about this a little bit and my problems watching the movie Whiplash. I don't really care for conflict too much. I have an issue with it. That's a me thing. But so I guess, some of the stuff that's happened, like we talked earlier about, I don't know if that's going to be in the episode, we talked about Twitter. Because we have a lot of positive feedback, which is amazing. But dealing with the negative feedback was tough. It's not that it ever gets easy, but I think I've gotten better at it, I guess. So I think those are probably a couple of things early on that I've, dealt with.
Yeah, I identify a lot with the narrator voice. Finding that, is a process. For me, I think for me, fighting my own overexuberance is probably a big challenge because when I have ideas, I just want them to happen like immediately. And so, when I enter into any new work environment or any new, opportunity to, do something with a group of people, I have a tendency to brainstorm all these different things, and I think it can be a bit overwhelming, not just for them, but also for me to think, oh, here's an idea, and here's an idea, and here's an idea, and it's just like I need to do better at my challenge is doing better at walking alongside an existing thing like CinemaSins is, and just being, okay, how can I help here? How can I help here? It's sometimes hard for me to just be, and but one thing I found that made this easy with CinemaSins is the collaboration is so great, and everybody is so open to ideas and open to things that I never feel like anything I say is taken personally or taken wrong. So that makes it a little easier for somebody like me.
Do you remember when we put the first the Game of Thrones pilot, and we put the first TV Sins video together, and we sent it off to them?
Yeah.
And it just felt like, I'm sure it wasn't as long as it really felt like, but like we just didn't hear anything back because everybody was just busy,
right,
with other stuff, and we were just, so it took a while for them to get back to us. And I just remember us both, like, we'd email each other, like, have you heard anything yet? Like, has Jeremy just mentioned it to you? And you'd be like, no. Has Chris mentioned anything to you? I'm like, no. So there's a little bit of time there where we were like, is this going to happen? Or are they going to get somebody else to do it?
Well, and originally I had done the narration on the first version too. Yeah. And so waiting to hear back, like, do they hate, like, I thought, oh no, they hate my narration, which obviously was proved by the fact that they didn't use it. But I think that was much more of a branding decision.
Talking about, I think when you write something, when you create anything, you're exposing yourself in a way. At least that's how it feels to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When any creative process you get in.
Even if it's negative feedback, like, I think I just personally, like, I'd rather just, like, rip the Band-Aid off. Just tell me immediately.
Yeah.
So sometimes, just because there's only there's not very many of us working here. There's only 6 of us. And sometimes, it takes a minute to get back to somebody. And sometimes that's just kind of like, you're like, did they hate what I wrote?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been a hard part for me too. But like, I think the self-doubt comes out on top as far as like, anytime you do something, anytime you have any kind of job, there's going to be hard parts to it. And when Shoshana wrote me, she was, I think, looking for encouragement on her own journey to finding like what she wanted to do. So I think it's good for everyone to sort of share the hard stuff and the good stuff, because it can seem like, oh, this is like the best thing ever. And it is super fun and it's great. And there's a lot of positives to it, but there are hard parts to anything that you do. So
absolutely.
This was just one of the biggest challenges, at least. So great question. And we always love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, please hit us up. You can also email us at behindthesinspod@gmail.com, behindthesinspod@gmail.com. You can try to connect with us on Twitter as well. We do appreciate that. All right, let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
What's something in the world of pop culture that you want to chat about? I'll go first because I saw Hobbs and Shaw, baby.
And
awesome. I thought you were probably going to talk about that, so I didn't put that in as mine.
Your hands are pressed together and you're like rubbing them back and forth and kind of like, huh.
I'm glad you're talking about this. I think this is a really interesting thing to talk about.
I'm building up the friction of getting ready to express my opinion in the rubbing of my hands.
Is it good?
It's kind of interesting because I have a pop culture podcast where we're going to review this fully. Sif Pop, by the way, if you want to check it out, Sif Pop is the podcast.
I was on Sif Pop once and I got kicked off.
You did not get kicked off. You asked to leave.
I know.
So let's just be very clear.
I just wanted
you are welcome back on Sif Pop at any point.
I was just razzing you.
I still remember you being on. This is a long time ago. I have a weird memory, but I remember you being on as a guest, and it was like a top 10 of the year or something. And I remember Andrew saying that he let you sit in your chair or something.
Yeah. Yes.
Because like whenever you're there, he feels like he needs to move.
Yeah, he does. That's really sweet.
It is.
Anyway, sorry, Aaron. You were talking about
No, but it's interesting
Hobbs
because we took the week off. There was no Sif Pop this week, so I haven't even talked about this on Sif Pop. So this is like it's a little weird. I feel like I'm cheating on my other podcast in a little bit.
Well, they feel like they're being cheated on, so you're about to make everyone so upset.
I had so much fun. Now, part of this has to do with the fact that I saw it with like 3 guy friends that I only get together with a couple times a year. We're like the best of buds. One of them actually has been mentioned on the Sincast before. His name is Brian. We've mentioned him on Sif Pop as well. He's like the funnest person ever to watch movies with because he cannot help but verbally respond to everything that happens on the screen. I don't mean talk, but I just mean like, yeah, exactly.
Like
so,
exclamations.
Yeah, he's just so fun, and this is the perfect movie to watch with him. So I have this perfect environment, and it's one of those movies where it is so ridiculous and so over the top, and it knows it. And it's so much fun in that way, but it's also kind of great in a like character way. I think The Rock's character in this is really interesting. I think the relationship between Jason Statham and The Rock is really interesting in it, and fun. I think the humor in the movie is done really well. There are a couple of surprises that I am not going to give away here. That are not in the trailer.
Hobbs is pregnant.
That I said I wasn't going to give it away. Man,
with Shaw's baby.
Shaw's baby.
What was that movie where the guy gets pregnant, like from like the 80s or whatever?
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. What was that one?
Junior.
Yeah, yes. Junior is what that was called.
Oh, that was so great when you're 7.
So it's a surprise sequel to Junior, which I wasn't expecting. But no, and I'm not even going to tell you what kind of surprises they are because I don't know. I guess what's really frustrating with the surprises I'm talking about is that most people won't consider them spoilers. In fact, most movies would have promoted these things as something in the trailer and the poster.
Yeah, it was nice to be like kind of just surprised.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I don't think anybody who doesn't see this movie right away isn't going to know this because I think most people will just tell you this because they don't think it's a spoiler. But it was one of those things that was really fun in the movie. And one of them was maybe the best thing about this movie. And I really had a good time. I had a lot of fun.
I thought Vanessa Kirby, who I had only seen like in smaller parts in a couple of things.
Yeah.
She is amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I love her.
And she plays off them. And talk about like, compare that to like Angelina Jolie and Gone in 60 Seconds.
Right.
I mean, she plays off them really well. And I mean, I do think it's ridiculous that her and Jason Statham are supposed to be like brother and sister and they like were children together when they're like over 20 years apart. But, and it looks like they're over 20 years apart.
Yeah.
But you know, this is definitely one of those. You're gonna have to just have some disbelief. It is what it is. I mean,
oh man, you're gonna have to suspend all the disbelief.
All of them.
I mean,
there's 20 disbeliefs.
There's a moment with The Rock towards the end of this movie where he pulls something, and it is. I mean, the theater went wild. Mm-hmm. It is the most ridiculous and amazing thing that maybe I've ever seen.
Oh,
it was great.
Man, now I want to see this movie.
Oh,
and
it's
Idris
so
Elba,
ridiculous.
I always love Idris Elba, but he is a perfect bad guy.
And he's
in this kind of movie.
Spoiler! Sorry.
Well,
No.
I'm just being silly. I'm being silly.
Literally, like, I believe 3 minutes into the movie, he pops up, she asks who he is, and he says, bad guy.
That's literally his first line is, I'm the bad guy.
That's amazing. I want to sandwich mine this week.
Okay.
Because I'm going to talk about a book this week, and it might be something that's a little awkward. So I'm just going to like quickly mention it.
Oh no.
Because this is a book that's written by a Christian author.
Oh, okay.
And I'm saying it's called Unoffendable. The author's Brant Hansen. And I did not want to like this book, and I did. And so that's frustrating and also like worth talking about a little bit, you know?
Sure.
And I think the reason I wanted to mention it is, first of all, if like any kind of Christian conversation is a trigger for you, this is not the book for you. But if
Which is funny because it's called Unoffendable.
Right. It is. Oh God, it is. And so like, here's the thing. I read a lot of different kinds of things. I watch a lot of different kinds of things. This just happens to be in that like more religious vein, but it's not overly religious. In fact, it's kind of even talking to the religious culture being offended about everything,
well,
and they're not supposed to be.
It's probably religious in the same way like like a Pete Holmes podcast is, they talk about religion in a way that's accessible.
Yeah, it's super not, it's not coming at you.
Right.
It's not one of those books where it's like, here's all the things you're doing wrong. It's more like, hey, as a people, we're supposed to love each other. And if someone does something different than you, you're actually not supposed to be pissed about that.
Right.
You're supposed to just like let it be what it is and stay in your own lane and work on yourself. So as much as I know that that's true, what ended up happening as I've read this book is I've realized that I am super offended about certain things. And so I've got like a lot of work to do. It was like an affirmation that I've done a lot of personal work and I'm really proud of myself for that. But then there's this whole other load of crap that I've got to work through. And so I kind of felt like I wanted to mention it because it was good. It was a good reminder about working on it because I don't want to be the kind of person that's upset all the time in certain parts of my life. I kind of want to be chill all around. That would be like a nice.
Being offended is such a waste of energy.
It really is. And so in some ways, I've got it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not offended by that. Like, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm not offended if you're not a Christian. I'm not offended if you are. Like, and I can work in that. But then in other areas, which I won't mention because it's way too personal, man, I've got some serious anger problems. So anyway, I just thought it was a really great book because the way that he approached writing about it, it sort of just opens that thing. It opens the topic. It doesn't like make you feel like crap. It just sort of opens it and says, hey, take a look at yourself and see what you see. So, and it also is a really quick read. It's not one of those where you're reading like a theology book about the Bible. It's more like, here's a topic about not being offended. Okay, have a nice day, sort of a feel. So
I hate this book.
That's interesting.
Are you offended by it?
I hate this book very much, but that's mostly due to my own professional jealousy and the fact that I had an idea to write this book a while back, and he got to it first.
And he got to it first?
Yeah.
Well, you can write your own book. So, you should write a book called Unoffendable, the better version. and then Brant can't be offended by it.
That's right. What about you, Jonathan? What's your Beyond the Sin?
So this show started, it just premiered last week. I just watched the first episode this weekend, so it's only one episode in, but I am really, really fascinated by this. It's on the Sundance channel. I don't know, because I know a lot of people, it's really weird thinking about how, like, I feel like I'm in the minority having cable. But
yeah, this is funny.
I think there's probably like a Sundance app or Sundance Now. I mean, there's probably ways to watch this if you look for it. But it's called No One Saw a Thing. There is this town called Skidmore, and it's a very small town. I think somebody in this episode says there's like 280 people in it. There is this guy that was essentially like the town bully. Have either one of you heard about this?
No, not at all. Okay. I'm riveted.
This is a true story. This guy, his name was Ken Rex McElroy, and they called him the town bully. I think he's a little more than that. He one horrible thing he did, he raped a 13-year-old woman and then married her so she couldn't testify against him.
Oh, ugh.
He was, well, I mean, he's accused of this. He's accused of shooting a grocery store owner, burning down a house. And in 1981, in July of 1981, he was shot. This almost sounds like Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah. He was shot 12 times in the middle of town. And shot in his car and killed. And there was they think there was about 60 people around that general area. But like as the title says, no one saw a thing, or that's how they decided to go about it. And there was a full-on investigation because a person was murdered. Regardless of how awful the person was, a person was murdered, and so there was an investigation, and no one was ever arrested. No one was found guilty. The town just basically shut their mouths and wouldn't give anybody up. So this was in 1981. So a lot of these people have actually died because they were older at the time. And this was, almost 40 years ago. But they show like there was a segment that 60 Minutes did in 1982 with Morley Safer interviewing a bunch of the townspeople. So they show a lot of that. But what's also interesting is that a couple of things. One, the wife, the one that I guess he was accused of raping, she's talking about how the whole thing was way overblown and that he didn't do a lot of the things he was accused of doing. And his kids basically defend him as well. He had 2 kids. And then also you find out that a lot of weird stuff happened in the town after that. Like there were some suicides. The crime rate goes up significantly. So it seems like the show is going to kind of get more into that, about like how this crime, I guess, affected the town itself. And I don't know. It's fascinating. It
kind of sounds like another true crime kind of investigation.
I think if you liked what was the real popular Making of a Murderer? If you
Making a Murderer.
That, I think this will be right up your alley.
Skidmore is a city in Nottoway County, Missouri. The population was 284 at the 2010 census. The small farming community had a yearly pumpkin show until 2004. So there you go.
Are you aware? I completely forgot you guys are in Missouri. Are you aware of that town?
Yeah, that was all from memory. No, I'd never heard of it before. I think it's like north of Kansas City, about an hour, if I'm looking at it correctly.
But but like I said, it's on the Sundance Channel. Probably about the day this airs is probably when the new episode's on.
It's like we don't even know how to handle when things air weekly anymore. It's like, what do you mean they're not all available?
Yeah, it's like you got to wait.
What? What is this waiting that you speak of?
I don't like waiting.
That's Beyond the Sins.
There you go.
Well, that's going to do it for Behind. Nope, not Behind.
Behind the Sins.
Behind the Sins.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you are subscribed. Also, go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. Hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says, and he is at Sam Lewis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, and myself, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to behindthesinspod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe or message us at Twitter. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2. Bing bong bong. Ba bum bum bum. Ba da 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 dum. Do 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 do. You're still not smiling. After all of that, I have literally just boop-bop-a-doo-doo-doo like a freaking puppet over here.
I'm trying to problem solve.
All right, fine. I'll just go back to rewatching the last 3 minutes of this video.
I mean, you're coming through the microphone. Why doesn't it come through when you tap it?
That picture you drinking the milkshakes, were those your kids?
2 of them were.
Okay, because the one, like when I was looking at the picture, it would be the one on the left. Looks straight up like Harry Styles.
Yeah, that's not mine. He is one of my friend's oldest. And
Taco Bell kid?
Yeah, Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
He shot his senior pictures at Taco Bell, and it went viral. And so he's kind of known as the Taco Bell guy, Taco Bell kid. But Taco Bell hired him to come out and do a fashion show in L.A. for like Taco Bell fashion. So he has like all
When
these.
did he do these? Was this recent when he did these pictures?
3-4 years ago?
It would have been 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. That sounded familiar, but it was something more recent.
He started it. He's like the original Taco Bell kid. You know, like it was all him.
So yeah, he is.
I am a little jealous of the Taco Bell hoodie.
It's nice, right?
It's super
Remember
great.
when we were kids, how hard it was to become famous?
But I'm not frustrated at all. I'm happy. I'm ready to record a podcast. That's how happy I am. We were just looking at the output levels, and we couldn't hear anything, but it said that there was like a lot of volume coming through.
We don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. But
oh, what if it's something living inside the computer?
That's going to be really weird, though, if you play this back and there's like this other person talking.
I know! No! No! I'm going to keep on talking. Ba, 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 ba.
Yeah, I really genuinely thought you were going for, hey, I smell like raw sewage. That's an issue. But no, that doesn't bother you.
Nope. It bothers other people more than me, apparently. I burped out of my mouth.
Well, I was just down there, wasn't I?
I know.
Yeah, how was that? You got to hang out with everybody. You guys got to do a podcast together on the Sincast. How was it? Did you miss
great.
me? Did you put up like a little picture of me in the corner?
All we talked about was you. If
We
you listen
bragged that we had a girl.
Did you really?
Yeah, we really did.
We're diverse.
We've got a girl.
Yeah, Jeremy said we were the most diverse podcast on the network.
It's true.
Do you really have pink hair?
Me? Oh yeah, every day.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a filter, but that's what it looks like on your Discord picture.
No, it's totally a filter. I showed it to my husband. It was a Snapchat filter. I showed it to my husband, and he was like, "I like the hair, but the piercings and the dark lipstick is I don't like that."
I mean, I can tell like on the face there was filter because it always looks different. Like it's got like that like creepy like CG look to it, but
that 2006 Monster House look.
Yeah, there you go. What are we talking about that?
You've done some interesting things with your hair, though. I remember when you shaved one side.
Yep.
And then you did a red dye.
Yep. I had my hair in like this, think like Fifth Element hairstyle. Yep. And then before you knew me, I also did like a faux mohawk for a while.
We call those a faux hawk. You can just combine that.
Plastic leather is what I also call it.
You can call it pleather.
Right.
That's fine.
I have a problem with those things.
Today, part of what we do at CinemaSins is portmanteau things, like things that should never be portmanteaued. And Danae has this bad habit of undoing all portmanteaus.
Somebody has to. Somebody has to be the opposite.
No, that's actually a great thing. You should take, if there's like a common portmanteau, you should absolutely like separate it all the way out.
Yeah. Can we talk about what a portmanteau is first, though?
Sure.
Okay, cool. What is that?
It's where you combine two words to one word or more than two words.
Well, that makes sense.
If it's a double portmanteau, you call it a portmanteau. Just so you know. I love it when my jokes get complete silence for more than 2 seconds. That's always the best. All right, I'm going to take a quick break right here. Is there some sort of like construction going on behind you? Is somebody using a buzzsaw behind you or something?
Oh, no. It's actually, I'm sorry. My house cleaner had to come today. I think she's vacuuming. Hold on 1 second.
It's the Roomba.
I think Jonathan...
Are you being sucked in?
Jonathan is being vacuumed.
No!
Jonathan! Oh, no, Jonathan. Oh, let him live. Let him live.
What if I change mine to be Danae Sins?
At Danae Sins?
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
You could. You could do that, Danae.
Because I do it all the time.
What is that?
What was that about, Danae?
I thought that was like something happened.
Something did happen. You don't know this, but Danae stood up. That was her butt by the microphone.
That's the first time you've ever heard me fart. How do you feel?
Great.
I feel about 6 feet away, wanting to be 12. Also, I feel like I'll never use that microphone again.